This section is going to talk about a test taking strategy, and that is if you are wondering if you should flip-flop your answer to a multiple choice question, because that is something that happens very commonly, right? We're all going to have to deal with it on any of the sections. So you've answered a question, you've selected it, and then maybe you're reviewing it, you come back to it, or even in that moment, you start to think and doubt, is that really the answer? Like, I picked B, but now that I'm seeing it again, I think it might be C. And so what do you do in that situation? Do you change it back? Do you stick with the first guess? And I think, of course, the classic accounting answer, it depends. So I want you to reflect on in those situations. When you made the answer, was it a snap judgment where you read the question, you saw the answers, and you were like, boom, this is what it is? Because if it was a snap judgment, but then you revisit it and feel better about another option, in that case, I would trend toward changing it, because I think we've all also had the experience. Often when you read through a question for the first time and you read through the answer choices for the first time, it's easy to miss things, right? Like maybe you missed, something says do not and you read it as do, like you missed the negative word, or just you missed a part of the answer, you didn't get the full picture. Maybe it's just easy to make assumptions right off the bat without thinking deeper into the questions and the answers. And so I think if that is the case, if you decided really quickly, but then after revisiting the question and thinking about it more differently, thinking through the answer choices, looking at, based on the practice questions I did, like, what is this really asking? How could it be trying to trick me? What is the best answer? After a more deep thought into it, then I think it is okay to change it. Now, on the flip side, if your initial answer was not a snap judgment, if you had thought about it, I would keep it. Because I think we all also have had the experience in our past academic lives where you had the right answer and then you changed it, and then when you get your grade back, you see that, and that's such a frustrating feeling, right? Because you just think about like, oh, I knew that was it, but you overthink it, you sort of like psych yourself out. You can start to play mental games where it's like, like they thought I was going to fall for that, so maybe it's this. You can just kind of get your mind all jumbled up. And a lot of it's just overthinking it, right? Starting to see things that aren't there. And so I want you to avoid that feeling of like, darn, like, oh, like, why did I? Because it just feels like you really cost yourself easy points. And of course, you're not going to, you won't find whether you don't get insight into what specific questions you missed, but just like in general, you don't want to have to worry about if you changed it and you had the right answer and you lost out on it. So if you have thought about it deeply, it's likely that you're probably overthinking it. So once again, if it's a snap judgment, I would trend towards changing it. But if you thought about it, trust that thought process. Don't psych yourself out. So that's just a strategy for when you're going through the multiple choice questions, whether it's the practice tests or on test day itself.